As we move into 2023 and it's become more of a buyer's market, more of a collector's market, if you will, you're going to hear a lot from collectors as to what to buy, how to buy it, and blah, 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 and whatever. Let's dive into this. Hello to all my sports card collectors, investors, all of my collectibles friends. It is another day. It is another card video. We survived Christmas at our house, and now we are looking forward to the new year. We've got 2023 right on the doorstep. Can you believe it? I can't. This year just flew by. Amazing. If you're new here, you're looking for really daily sports card, almost daily sports card collectibles content with average entertainment thrown in there.
Silence, you fuddy fool! I've had it with your whining and bumbling.
Then you have come to the right place. Please hit that subscribe button down below. Also connect with me on IG at SportsCardDad, and I'm also on the Twitter machine, the SportsCardDad. A couple of housekeeping notes. I will be on a Zoom call or a video with the cardboard coaches coming up this week, and I think that'll air probably maybe sometime next week on YouTube. I'm not sure exactly when it will be released, but I'm looking forward to talking with those two guys. Really enjoy their hobby talk. And I was also recently on a collector series with DPZ of Luca Nation Network. I think that one's going to air in the next week or so, so I'm looking forward to seeing that come out. That was a really fun conversation. Looking forward to doing more of that sort of thing. Thank you to today's video sponsor, Drip, a fun live streaming app. Guys, you got to check this out, buying and selling on the live stream. It's a good time. I will put all the links in the comment section. I'll pin a comment, and then I'll also put it in the video description. These guys have all sorts of different styles of collectibles, types of collectibles. That's why I really like Drip, whether it be comic books or Yu-Gi-Oh cards or sports cards or Pokemon cards or whatever it might be. It is on Drip, so definitely check them out. All right, guys, you have heard this before now. We have entered into more of a collector's market. We're going back in time. The dirty old nasty investors have been taken over the last few years, but we are weeding them out, and now we're back to the collectors. That's what everyone keeps saying, right? Well, here's the thing about that, and I think that this is where we need to have a conversation, because as much as investors get all sorts of flack about this, that, or whatever, or speculators or flippers or whatever you want to call them, the collectors also have some things that they need to also work on as well. And I made a video about this, I don't know, a couple of months ago, and then there was people that took it the wrong way, of course, like always. But the basic gist of it is that, look, there's jerks in all the circles, okay? So whether you call yourself this, that, or whatever, you're labeling yourself as a hybrid, a collector, an investor, or whatever you are, there are jerks everywhere, and so be mindful. I've noticed on the collecting side, the longtime collectors, some of them tend to have rules that we all have to live by. You have to be a player collector, or you have to be a set collector, or you have to be a whatever, that they think that it's supposed to be. But the truth and the reality is you can do whatever the hell you want because it's your money. It's your money, and look, whether it's a player, whether it's a character, non-sports has started to really kind of rise over the last couple of years. Culture cards, as you might call them, but really culture cards / non-sports cards, they have been rising. And really, I think a lot of what that is if you look over the last 5 years, at a lot, or 5-10 years, let's just say, just to kind of use general talk, there's been a lot of really cool cards, whether it be auto cards or memorabilia relic style cards on the culture card side, in the same fashion that you've seen in sports cards. If you go back 30 years during the time when I started collecting, 1988, 89, 90, it was a very basic set of cardboard that you were choosing from. And it was awesome. Don't get me wrong. Loved it. But, now you have such a huge variety. The card stock is different. You've got thin cards and thicker cards. You've got memorabilia. You've got autos. You've got all sorts of things that are mixed into these cards that add intrigue, I guess, to where, if you go back to the 80s and to a lot of the early 90s stuff when I got started, there wasn't that sort of thing. I mean, Fleer Ultra just started to come out with gloss cards.
Working overtime on the premiere of Fleer Ultra NBA basketball cards with tons of white-hot action. Marbleized borders.
Along with Upper Deck. 89 Upper Deck was the first glossy card. 89 Upper Deck. And then it kind of built off of that, so the idea that you had a lot of really cool card options, well, in that day, a glossy cardstock was really cool. And now you've got all sorts of stuff. And so I think that's where kind of the discovery is happening on the culture card side. People are looking and they're like, man, they haven't really gotten a lot of fanfare, but they were doing a lot of kind of the relic stuff and the auto stuff. You're seeing it with Star Wars. I collect the Stranger Things. And there's all sorts of things, like this on the culture card side that have picked up steam. And I think that it's going to continue to pick up steam as we move forward. And so what's kind of cool is I think there's a lot more people like me now where, you collect. I've got a Drew Brees PC. I'm a massive New Orleans Saints fan. I'm a big football card collector, but I've also got an extensive Stranger Things cards collection. I've got starting lineups. I've got graded video games. I've got graded comic books. So I think that a lot of people are starting to be more of a hybrid of a lot of different things. They're collecting a big variety of stuff that they think is cool. And a lot of it for me, it just stems from 80s nostalgia, 90s nostalgia stuff. And it's carried it forward, to where I am now. Also, when we're looking at kind of collecting trends, or these sorts of things or rules associated with this hobby rules, let's call it that. The hobby rules when I got started 30 years ago were a lot different than they are now. There's a lot of different type of thinking now that group is now 35, 40 years old and has their opinions that they want to put out there. You can still argue that, vintage always holds true. The people that were saying the stuff about the Mickey Mantles in the 90s, they were right here. They were correct. If you come to today, Mickey Mantles are still popular. But you also have to remember that this hobby got started with baseball card collectors. That's where it really kind of took hold and it's risen from there. So the oldest style hobby collector is a baseball card collector going all the way back. My friend Ryan McClanahan with a great channel, History Through Cards, History Through Cardboard. I'll put it in the video description. He also talks a lot about just the history of cardboard, a lot of it being baseball cards and just all the ins and outs of it. Excellent channel, amazing dude. And so that's really why, the history of baseball cards are a part of American history, not even just, collectibles history. So that stuff is really always going to be relevant. The Mickey Mantles, the Jackie Robinsons, the Babe Ruths, all that stuff, in 50 years, 100 years, that's not going to just be forgotten trash. There's going to be some sort of value attached to it. Obviously, we don't know what it will be, but that's not going away. That is a part of American history, baseball cards. But, if you look back 30 years ago, football and basketball cards really kind of irrelevant in the grand scheme of things. You had, 89 football draft class with Barry Sanders and Troy Aikman and Michael Irvin. A lot of Hall of Famers, Deion Sanders came out of those kind of that 89. Then you start getting into the 90s, some really great players with Emmitt Smith, etc. Football cards started to take hold. If you look at today's hobby, where is there big money being spent? And also what's being ripped a lot? What do you see a lot of? You see a lot of it in football cards. Where's a lot of the speculation going? What are the young people into? A lot of football cards, basketball cards as well, but football cards with all the new quarterbacks, it's pretty popular. What will it be in 10, 15, 20, 30 years from now? We just don't know. We don't know. I've been more of a collector in vintage football and vintage basketball just from a price point perspective. It's just been easier for me to get into it. And then those are two sports that I just like better than baseball. So for me, it all comes full circle. It's not that I don't want vintage baseball stuff, but it's gotten very expensive over the last few years. And it's just not a sport that I enjoy the same way I do football, one, basketball, two. Which brings me to kind of where I'll end this is, just like in life, you see people that they do certain things to impress others or to make others happy. There's a lot of folks that are just deep dived into this thing where they just want to collect a certain thing. They want to be able to show off something to make their other buddies, happy, jealous, whatever it is. They want to be part of the crew. They are following that particular group, whatever it is. Everything you're doing is to make other people happy or, wow, look at what he's got. That's really cool. In this space, really, you have to, yes, you might want some really cool stuff, but the good thing is there's really cool stuff across all of these verticals, whether it be culture cards, non-sports, or sports cards, whatever sport you want. Soccer cards, there's amazing soccer cards. I think there's pickleball cards now or whatever. The main point is whatever you're into, there's cool stuff everywhere, so don't just give in to, oh man, so-and-so, this big time baseball card collector, he's into this. So that's what I need to be into. Or this basketball card collector, these 90s inserts that I need to get into. If you don't really love it, then don't bother with it. because you're the one that's going to be stuck with it. The collectibles are not highly liquid, so it could be that you're like, oh man, I don't like this anymore, I want to go sell it, and you get 50% of what you paid or 75%. Maybe you'll get more than what you paid, but you could very well get quite a bit less. So it needs to be something that you also just think is awesome and that you have a plan for, whether it be short-term, buy, sell, long-term hold, or whatever it is. But I think that's the one thing I just wanted to, as we move into 2023, we're getting back to more of what folks are calling kind of a collector's market. It's more buying, a buyer's market, not a seller's market, as we move into 2023. And we don't know if it's going to stay like that. If it does stay like that, then there's going to be a lot of buying opportunities. And then it's going to be like, hey, look, there's opportunity cost here. Don't buy into what everyone is like, oh man, this is the next big trend or whatever. Think about what you want. Think about what you want your, collection, or some people call this a portfolio, whatever that is that you're calling it. Really put thought into it, because you'll have options. You'll have a lot of options. Let me know your thoughts on this subject. Do we have to be a player collector? Do we have to be a set collector? Or can we just do whatever the hell we want? Put your thoughts in the comments below. Stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.